It was the biggest failure ever. That
No, it
person
wasn't the
wasn't
biggest
qualified.
failure
You
ever.
shouldn't have went to
You
Afghanistan.
people
and
hate
Iraq.
America, and that's the issue.
We hate America.
Yes,
Me?
you
said
got.
me?
Yes, I mean you. You don't know what America actually is.
I hate America.
Yes.
How?
By this dumb shit.
Peace and blessings, beautiful souls, magnificent beings. We'll jump right into this video and listen to Officer Tatum and this young individual talk about who really hates America and explain why the individual that's speaking to Officer Tatum, is saying that white privilege exists and why Officer Tatum says white privilege doesn't exist based off police interaction, etc. Also, we'll jump into a video. In this video, we'll talk about Tyler Perry's new movie, Straw, and why I say that it is a detrimental movie when it comes to the reliving and the rehashing of trauma within the Black community, because this is how a lot of his movies are being framed. And to me, I watched it yesterday and I feel like it's just a rehash of trauma, and you can never move forward stuck in a traumatic state of existence. It's good to know and understand these things, but it becomes repetitive, redundant, and it becomes detrimental when we continue to rehash these same narratives about Black people, specifically Black women, when it comes to Tyler Perry's story, rehashing their trauma, their struggle, etc., to the point that it becomes overdone. They have overcooked that narrative, and it becomes, again, another situation where individuals are stuck rehashing their trauma, and you can't move ahead being stuck in trauma. While he may mean well, this doesn't bode well for effectively moving individuals forward. It makes them more emotional, makes them tie back into all the stuff they've been into, and most of these individuals stay stuck in that trauma and stay stuck as a victim by watching that movie. They don't elevate themselves beyond that. So we'll jump into that, and then we'll show you videos of these individuals across the country still riding and still assaulting police officers. And again, I'm in no way, shape, form a spokesperson for police officers. I am not a patriot in the sense of the word patriotism, but at the end of the day, I am American. I live in America, and I understand that you must have law and order in order to have a civil society. We don't really have a civil society as it is, but to even come close to a civil society, you must have law and order. And with these individuals protesting against the removal of illegal immigrants from the country, it shows that the left, in particular in this case, has no real strategy beyond trying to oppose any and everything that Trump does. When we, the voters, voted Trump in based off the fact that, number one, he would shut down that border. Number two, he would deport those individuals who are especially the criminals who cross the border illegally, but also other illegal immigrants who cross the border illegally, whether they are in criminal behavior or not when it comes to gangs and violence and all that other stuff. This is what we voted for, and this is why he's carrying it out. I have my issues with Trump on other issues, Israel, etc., but on this issue, I stand with the administration on the deportation of those who entered the country illegally. And I do have compassion and empathy for those who are coming over, who are trying to make a living and who truly want to experience the American dream. I have no empathy for those who are flying the flags of their country, trying to stay in this country, fighting to stay in this country, flying the flag of their country. It makes no sense. Make that make sense. Now we'll jump into this and try to get Officer Tatum and this young man back on the screen. We'll listen to what they have to say. And again, you'll decide whether or not he makes sense.
I think that's dumb enough.
Which one? Oh,
You know
white
enough that I don't.
What privilege do white people have that you don't have right now?
What privilege do white people have that I don't have right now? I'm not gonna talk about myself specifically.
Man, come on, man. You
I mean,
here.
we can talk
Give
about
me an
myself.
example. Give me an example in your life. Every person that comes to this mic can never give me an example of how white privilege has affected their life, but then they claim it's somebody else. You
Getting
here,
pulled over?
give me getting pulled over. How's that white privilege?
Do you know anything about the veil of darkness and the fact that it can be quantified, that there's an actual difference in the way that black people are pulled over?
Have you ever
versus
been a
white
cop
people?
before?
No, I've never
Have you
been
ever
a
worked
cop.
in the black community?
No, I'm not.
Do you know any cops that work in black communities?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are
Or
they racist?
former police? No, not to my knowledge.
So where do you get it that, have you ever been white? I know the obvious question is no. So you don't know
Well,
how cops treat
I'm-
white people when they're pulled over, do you?
No, I do. My dad's white.
Well, how do they treat him when he's pulled over?
They treat him nice, with respect. They don't
And-
ask
and
if
they-
he has baby mama drama. That's what
A
I got
cop-
asked. Illinois, 12 o'clock.
Well, what
pulled
happened?
over for no
Give a
reason.
scenario. You got pulled over for no reason.
No
Okay,
reason.
what did the cop say to you?
They asked, "You got anything?" I was driving 16 and 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just
11?
pull you over
Yeah.
at
road
night?
trip. Yeah. At
Okay.
night.
When they pull you over, what do you say?
He was asking if I had anything, and he lights out.
When he
and
say
this,
anything, you
and
say, do you
that,
have any drugs, anything? That's
and
what he said?
Yeah, any of that.
Okay. Cops ask that to everybody. It's trained in the academy. You ask every single
Yeah,
person
but
you
then
pull
he
over,
asks
do you
if
have
there's
drugs?
any baby mama drama. What the do you think he means by that?
I don't know. Was it a white cop?
What do you mean you don't know?
Was it a white cop?
Yes, it was a white cop.
He said you have.
So again, what the right seems to fail to connect is the fact that yes, some of these individuals who are cops are racist. It is what it is. It's not everyone that is racist that is a cop, but it is certain individuals. If they're not racist, they have racial bias or they have a stereotype within their head of how black people carry themselves. And some of those stereotypes are indeed true, but some of them, those that are true, doesn't mean that it is true for every black individual that is driving. So this is where we have to be more mature in our thought process if we are not racist or racially biased when it comes to dealing with these pullovers. Yes, some cops are racist and some cops do target black drivers and some cops do treat black and white drivers differently. This is a fact, but this doesn't make all cops racist. This doesn't make every pullover of a black individual due to the fact that they're black. That doesn't mean that, but it doesn't also mean that you don't have these individuals that are racist that do treat their white counterparts, as far as their drivers who they pull over are white, how they treat drivers who they pull over are black. It is what it is. That's a fact. And this is where some of those on the left, on the right, lose some of their credibility because they don't want to admit anything about the fact that racism does exist to a certain extent in this country still to this day. But the left overplays it as well and have become the permanent victim of racism or etc. when that's not the case. You're not always a victim of racism or a racist individual because you have an encounter with a cop that pulls you over. Two things can be true. The right is in denial that it exists at all. The left overplays the victim hand, and both of these things are not good for the development of this nation. Allow us to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to go into some of this issues going on in Chicago and other areas when it comes to these protests. And let's see why individuals feel that it is all right to assault officers and to denigrate them and demean them and throw things at them and expect that they're not breaking the law and expect that this is somehow showing that they love America and expect that this is going to turn out well for them and for the cause that they're working for. What they're doing is showing that the left, indeed, in my estimation, has a severe and detrimental violence problem, cloaked in the innocence of peaceful protests. Nothing about these protests have been peaceful. Let's get it in. So what you're watching right here again is the mob of protesters starting to become unruly. and this has been going on throughout the cities and states that are having these protests. They talk about no king as if Donald Trump is trying to be a king. He cannot be a king. Our Constitution, the balance and checks that are in play would not allow him to be a king. The military is not going to fall in alignment with him so that he becomes a dictator, nor does he want to be a dictator. Again, if he was so bent on being a king, these judges that were ruling against him would be punished by him. He would not be filing lawsuits and having to send it up to the Supreme Court. He would do what he needed to do as the king, as the dictator, and get it in. And you see how ridiculous these individuals are. These are the leftists. These are the inclusion of these individuals that are inclusive. These are the non-violent individuals that they say they are. These are the ones who are causing chaos within the American city, but yet they blame Donald Trump for being a fascist. Many of them don't even know what that means, being a dictator, trying to compare him to Hitler. He's not killed one Jew. Matter of fact, he appears to be in the Israelis' pockets. And that's one thing that I don't agree with him on when it comes to Israel and their aggressiveness against Iran and the, again, genocide that is going on within Gaza. Yes, Israel has the right to protect themselves, but preemptively shooting, dropping bombs in another country is not protecting yourself. That's an aggressive war move. And when it comes to protecting themselves due to the October 7th situation a few years back or a year or so back, they have now overstepped their bounds and are just killing men and women, innocent men, women, and children. So they have overstepped their bounds. And this is why I have my issue with Donald Trump when it comes to he appears to be in the pockets of Israel. Let's go back and listen to Tatum a little bit more.
Baby mama drama, then what do you say to him?
I said no.
Okay, then what was the next thing that happened?
That was the end of the interaction.
And then did they give you a ticket?
No. But you can't act like
I don't believe your story.
I'm sorry, that wasn't a good enough example.
I don't believe you.
That wasn't a good enough example.
So a cop is you driving at night.
Yeah.
At God knows when.
Yeah.
He pulls you over just to ask you, do you have baby mama drama?
Yeah.
And then he drives off.
Yeah.
Like,
I know it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense.
Racism.
I know
right?
what racism. He knew you were black from, I don't know, outer space. He could smell it. Well, I'm a black man. I'm gonna go pull him over to ask him, does he have baby mama drama?
See, that's how headlights work.
Headlights?
Yes.
Have you ever pulled somebody over?
No, I've never pulled somebody over.
It's almost impossible. Go do a ride along and then follow up with me. It's nearly impossible to see somebody's race in the car, especially at night. Cops that pull you over, they're not looking at, most of the time, they're not looking at your car at your race. They're trying to run your license plate. White people kill cops just as much as black people do.
Yeah, I know.
Most cops are not really concerned about your race. You're equally dangerous as anybody else. And if you live in an all-black community, was this in an all-black community?
This was not in an all-black community. Okay. This was in Buffalo, where I live.
Well, you have no idea what he said to other people that he pulled over, do you?
No, I don't. But that's why I don't go based off examples, and that's why I didn't want to start the conversation based off an example.
Let's start the conversation with a broader example.
That's why when I bring up things to back my argument up, I bring up data.
So let's say you don't have any real experience with white privilege negatively affecting you. We start there.
No, I do. When you asked me for an example, I gave you an example like that.
Okay, give me another example. Because you said a cop that asked you about baby mama drama. That didn't happen.
Your question. I've responded with additional evidence. I pointed.
Let's go with the general evidence then. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about the whole George Floyd, Derek Chauvin situation?
What do you mean? Derek Chauvin is doing probably the rest of his life in prison.
Until he gets pardoned.
By who?
By Trump.
Trump is not pardoning him.
Yes, there are talks about Trump.
Trump ain't talked about. Trump ain't said.
Again, so we'll go away from this right here. Again, at the end of the day, we always seem to come back to the victim mentality that it's either one way or the other. On the right, they always say that it's a Democratic problem. It's a Democrat part of problem, or it's a immigrant problem or it's a black problem, and you go to the extreme when you're on the right, and this is what keeps things kind of hypocritical on their behalf. They don't have enough balance as well. On the left, it's always the victim mentality, white supremacy, white privilege. Everything is about white. Nothing is about their own personal behavior. Nothing is about their policies. Nothing is about those values, interests, and principles that they have embraced that are really low energy principles that are not conducive to growth, to other things that bring people out of their condition, because they continue to do the same thing over and over again. And this is where the left misses the point as well. So we'll finish out with this Tyler Perry trailer, and then I'll break that down real quick, and then we'll get on out of here. All right, let's bring them on to the board and see what they got going on. We'll bring them up just shortly, and hopefully all this will work out well. So let's get them started. So this is the trailer.
I didn't mean to do this. Something inside of me broke. I told them I need my money to get my daughter's medicine. She's sick. I just need to cash my check, that's all. No! Please, come on out. I just want to do what's right for my baby. Lock the door. Tell him close the room. We need to figure this out. I don't want you to get hurt. I got put out today. We have nowhere to live.
Again, I watched this movie last night. For me, it was a rehashing of the traumatic experiences that some Black women go through. And at the end of the day, I think he's playing this card too many times. The rehashing of trauma, and those who are watching it and who are celebrating the movie, many of those individuals are stuck in traumatic experiences. So they identify. And there's nothing wrong with identifying with a trauma. But at the end of the day, if you're stuck in a traumatic response, in a traumatic situation, in reviewing and rehearsing, rehashing trauma over and over and over and over again, it keeps an individual stuck emotionally in the traumatic state, in the fight or flight state, in a reactive state versus a deliberate responsive state. And this is not good for the growth of individuals. And this is why I believe this movie will do more harm than good, only because individuals who are really embracing it are those individuals who are still reliving trauma, and this just reinforces their trauma, reinforces the victimhood that they are in, and reinforces the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get out of this condition. And it's not almost impossible. It is possible, but you cannot keep reliving the past. And this is what this movie represents, in my humble opinion. It is a good plot twist when it comes to dealing with psychosis, etc. I won't give you the movie away because you may want to watch it, but it has a twist in it that is worthy to be recognized. But I think it flows over a lot of individuals' heads when in tying in the psychological aspect that is being displayed in this movie. I'm gonna leave it at that without giving up the movie. Again, if you like the commentary, please like, subscribe, and comment. Remember, I have a fitness channel. It's called Monte's Fitness. On that channel, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have workouts that you can go along with, meaning you can follow them and they can actually be your workout. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I drop information about diabetes, about insulin resistance, about heart disease, about autoimmune disease, many, many more things: food, nutrition, lifestyle, fasting, all those things that are necessary to enhance and give ourselves the best chance to maximize what it is that we need to maximize when it comes to our human organism. And this is what it is that we are going to continue to do. Again, like, subscribe. Have a beautiful day. Peace.